You ready to do a podcast?
I am. The question is, are you?
I think so, finally. Even though my computer decided to freeze up as I tried to go live.
I was going to say, could you tell what happened? Or
I have no idea what happened. I think I was trying to get it to do too much at once. Hello and welcome to Learning the Law, a podcast about all things legal with a focus on current events where we try to teach you things in an hour. My name is Ashley, aka Phoenix Nymphy, and my co-host, who is the man of the hour, my husband Ron, even though today is International Women's Day, so it's my hour to shine. This podcast is purely educational and should not be taken as legal advice. This podcast does not create an attorney-client relationship. This podcast is based on our interpretation of relevant law, and any opinions expressed are the opinions of the individuals expressing them and do not reflect the opinions of any firm, company, or other individuals. Ron is a licensed practicing attorney in the state of California.
yes, I am. And I have been since 1999. And I just want you to know, honey, that you shine every hour.
You're so sweet. Shut up. We are now officially on Patreon. Please consider supporting the podcast through there. You can find it on patreon.com/learningthelaw. And if you would like to sponsor the podcast, we are looking for sponsors. Please email us at twolazydogsmedia@gmail.com. We want to grow this and do more and educate because we really enjoy this. And as always, for more content from us, please check out my TikTok at Phoenix Nymphy. You can get more. And yeah, so so last week I took the week off except for the podcast. So we did the actual podcast. And what did we talk about again? Oh yeah, the Texas trans law, or well, it's not a law, but the opinion, yeah.
They're trying to implement it like it is a law.
They are trying to implement it like it's a law. It's not a law. And the safety of trans kids and families is very dire right now. But the last couple of podcasts that we've done have been very serious. So today, because today is International Women's Day, and we are in the month of women's history, we are celebrating women today, or this whole month. Today, I decided, which we did this last year, and so we're doing again this year, and we've got even more ladies to chat about this year. So we're going to just kind of relax and chill and talk about some badass ladies through history. I'm excited because I was looking up women in history, like lawyers and judges specifically, and I found all kinds of stuff from other countries as well as from the US. So I'm really excited to talk about other countries who have history, like, other countries who have history of these badass ladies. So we're going to highlight. So a lot of this, what I've obviously the notes will be up on the website tomorrow. This is from women. This is from Law Librarians of Congress. Yeah, the Library of Congress. So, and this article, this blog article thing was written in 2015 by Kelly Buchanan. And she just has a couple of blurbs on women throughout history in various countries. And she starts off with Argentina. So she goes by alphabetical order. So Maria Angelica Barredas was the first woman admitted to practice law in Argentina in 1910. Margarita Argas was the first woman to be appointed judge of the Supreme Court in Argentina in 1970 during the military government.
That's
And
before ours.
huh?
That was before our first female
Yeah.
Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, which is, yeah. Currently, Elena Heighton de Nolasco is the only woman member of the 7-member Supreme Court. After the death in 2014 of Carmen Argibe, who is the first woman appointed to the Supreme Court under a democratic government. Nice. Way to go, Argentina. In Brazil, the first woman to graduate from law school was uh, Mirthes Gomez de Campos, who finished law school in 1898. However, it was not until 1906 that she was admitted to the Institute of Brazilian Lawyers, which is their bar association, which is pretty wild. The first woman to ever become judge in 1954 was Teresa Grisalia Tang. She took the exam in 1954 and passed and became substitute judge of the 12th Circuit of the state of Santa Catarina. Wow, that's before we ever got our first. Like, that's crazy. That's so cool.
That's yeah, in Brazil, trial judges need to take an exam,
Yeah,
unlike here.
I kind of like that though.
Yeah, I'd take that exam since I'm not that well connected to get appointed judge. Yeah.
So in China, the legal profession was not formally established until 1979 to 1980. But women have never been excluded from the law schools or legal practice or judgeships throughout the history of People's Republic of China. According to this article, they have women law graduates and lawyers even prior to the founding of the PRC in 1949. The first minister of justice was Miss Liang Shi, and who graduated from law school and started practicing in the 20s and 30s before she was appointed as minister in 49. So that's actually kind of progressive of China.
Well, you know, I can't say too much. They are supposed to be quote unquote communist. Although my feeling there's never truly been a communist government.
Um,
That's more of an ideal. But yeah, if everyone is supposed to be equal in a communist government, then they need to have women justices.
Currently, there are three out of the 16 court leaders are women in the current Supreme People's Court in China. So Egypt is I really like this article, so I'm gonna like go through each country that they highlighted because I just found this very, very, very cool. The first woman lawyer in Egypt was, now I'm gonna butcher all of these names, and I apologize because I didn't listen to them first. I should have, but there's a lot of names to have listened to. Naima Ilyas Al-Ayubi, who graduated with a law degree from Cairo in 33, and in 2003, Tahani Al-Gebali became the first woman to hold a judicial position. Wow, that took a long time. That took a long time.
It did.
She held that position until 2012, and she remained the only female judge in Egypt until 2007, when the Supreme Judicial Council selected 31 women to serve as judges in the country. Holy crap! So they're like, you know what? We're behind. We're going to catch up. We're going to try to catch up. There needs to be more, obviously, but that's it's a start. So in France, it appears the first woman to graduate from French university with a law degree was actually from Romania. So the reason, I guess it appears, when they use that language, they're not 100% positive on the accuracy of that, correct?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. These records go back over 100 years. So.
Right. So, so she was of Romanian descent, Sarmisa Bilsescu, who first registered in 1884, and she obtained her licentiate in 1887 and a doctorate in 1890. Holy crap, that's so baller. That's like, just hearing women before the 1900s do anything beyond going to college, like getting a doctorate in any country, to me is just really, really freaking cool. She then returned to Romania, where she was admitted to the bar, thus becoming Europe's first woman attorney. Holy cow! Yep. The first women to be admitted in the bar in France were Olga Petit and Jean Chauvin, or Chauvin, who were respectively sworn in December 6th and 19th, 1900. And it wouldn't be until 46 that women would become judges in France. However, the proportion of women among French judges has risen very quickly over recent years, and women represent 57% of the French judiciary. And recent graduating classes from the École nationale de la magistrature have been composed of up to 80% women, which is the National Judges School.
Yep.
That's crazy cool. Holy crap. All right, so France is clearly leading us when it comes to women in the legal field. Like, as far as this, in the upper echelon, like France is clearly winning out as far as women judges right now. Right now.
Yeah.
Germany, women were admitted to universities in Germany depending on the state. So between 1900 and 1909, and then in 1913, among 9,003 law students in the German Empire, there were 51 women. That was it. Until the passage of the law on the admission of women to the offices and professions of justice on July 11th, 1922, women graduates were not permitted to take the state exam for the practice of law in Germany. So until they passed that law, they weren't even allowed to practice, even though they could go to school, which is weird. Germany's first woman judge was Maria Hagemeyer,
I
Hagemeyer,
think that's right.
uh,
Hagemeyer.
who became the judge, who became judge in 1927, and then in 1933, all female judges were dismissed by the Nazi regime. Um, Erna Scheffler was the first woman to be appointed as a justice of the Federal Constitutional Court in 1951. So I guess that was post-Nazi regime. That is our first woman to come back and be a judge.
Yeah.
And then Jutta Limbach was its first female president in 1994. And there are currently 5 women among the 16 justices of their Supreme Court. That's actually quite sad that that's quite sad that it's that right there makes so I have a thought on that, and my thought is when you have a regime like the Nazi regime and you end up going backwards, you end up going backwards, and you kind of have to start from ground zero again to come forward, and that's sad. Like, I mean, look at France, and then look at, like, we read about France who's like, yeah, we need to fix this and bring more people in, and then you have Germany who's like, okay, we'll start letting women again, but we're not going to try to, like, catch up. You know what I mean? Like, that's just really, and America does it. America does that too. Like, absolutely.
Well, if you look at Germany, they at least have had a female leader of the Supreme Court. We never have.
This is true. This is very true. But it's just, I don't know. It's just like you make progress. It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because you have people who are just so, you have Nazis, literally Nazis, white supremacists. Like, what is it about white people who keep holding progress from moving forward?
They're scared to lose power.
Who cares?
Well, they're the ones in power, and if they're scared to lose power, they're not going to give it up too easily.
I mean, I guess maybe because I'm a white person who's never had any kind of power in my life, I don't get it. But like, I don't know. I just see so many people who are just so, just badass, you know, and just should be like, for example, Stacey Abrams, who, just put in her bid. She just officially made it. She made it official for her run for governor again. In Georgia, which I hope she wins. Where I'm a Stacey Abrams stan over here. I stan Stacey Abrams. She's amazing. She's done so much work for Georgia, which is my home state. But yeah, just anyway, we'll get back on track. I mean, I'm essentially reading this thing, so I'll try and I won't read it all, but there's a lot of really cool people here. We've got Germany, we've got Greece, we've got Indonesia, Israel, Japan. In 1929, the Meiji University became the first school to make it possible for female students to actually study law. And then in 1940, the first 3 women were admitted to the bar following a 1936 revision of the relevant law. Masako Nakata, who later became the director of the Japan Federation of Bar Associations. And then Yoshiko Sanfuchi became the first female judge in 1949, which is just really cool. And then Ai Kume, who was one of the founding members and the first chairperson of the Japan Women's Bar Association, established in 1950 and later a delegate to the United Nations. Currently, 3 of the 15 members of the Supreme Court of Japan are women. Which is not surprising because, like, I mean, the Asian countries are still very slow on women. Like, women in business is still It's hard. Like it's still very it's very misogynistic for women in a lot of Asian countries. Very, I mean, same here, but it's a different type of misogyny, if that makes sense. Or is it? I don't
I
know.
mean,
Like,
are there different types of misogyny, or is there just misogyny?
yeah, I guess it just, yeah, yeah, you're right. And I don't like, and I don't want it to sound like I'm stereotyping, but it is no. I mean, one of the most famous characters out of Japan doesn't have a mouth for a reason. Hello Kitty, like she doesn't have a mouth for a reason. Like you know why she doesn't have a mouth, right? Because women are supposed to be silent.
No, I didn't realize Hello Kitty didn't have a mouth since I've never seen it.
You've seen Hello Kitty, babe. I promise
Not
you.
not the actual episodes.
No, no, no. I'm
I mean,
talking
this
about like all the Hello Kitty merchandise. Like she doesn't have a mouth.
yeah, I've seen that. I just never paid attention to it,
I
to
didn't
be honest.
realize that until someone pointed it out, and they pointed it out a long time ago, and I was like, that makes sense though. So I mean, that's actually really progressive for Japan. But of course, we want to see more. You know, we want to see half because half. You know, you want to see more. You want to see more because I was about to say a very transphobic comment, and which uh is half of the world are women, but that's not true because gender is fluid. What we want to see is more than men on these, you know, on these courts because more than men live in this world. You know, non-binary, trans, gender fluid, all kinds. So, oh, in 1898, Mexico actually had a woman graduate. Her name was Maria Asuncion Sandoval de Zarco. Whew! I know I butchered part of that middle name, but she graduated in 1898. Holy cow. That's wow.
Yeah, but they didn't get their first judge until 1974.
Yeah. Yeah. And currently there's only 2 women on their Supreme Court out of 10. So, and there is one vacancy according to this was in 2015. They've probably replaced it.
Um, the cartels do like to shoot their judges, so
Yikes.
yeah.
So Ethel Benjamin became New Zealand's first woman lawyer when she was admitted as a barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of New Zealand in May 1897. And she was awarded her Bachelor of Law degree in July of 1897. So, I kind of want to live in New Zealand.
You just want to see all the Lord of the Ring sites.
I mean, but New Zealand's kind of doing it right, you know? They're also
Yeah,
smaller countries, so they're able to do it right.
I'd love to at least visit there.
Um, there is currently 2 women on their 6-member Supreme Court bench in New Zealand as of 2015. Nicaragua.
Yeah.
Olga Nunez de Ceballos became the first attorney in 1945 in Nicaragua. Before she became elected to the National Assembly in 1957. And the first female judge was Joaquina Vega. And in 1948, and there are currently 5 justices on their 16-member Supreme Court. So that's kind of cool. That's a big Supreme Court. And why is it an even number, not an odd number?
Well, you'd have to look and see if it needs to be unanimous or
Mm,
Whether
mm.
all the judges hear every case or if they split some up.
So Pakistan, which was part of India. When did they split from India? In the 30s?
No, I want to say
Was it
it was
earlier?
after World War II.
Was it later?
Yeah, because I know the Gurkhas still um, were in the British Army during World War II.
1947. August 15th, 1947. Okay. So their first female justice judge, Majida Rizvi, was appointed in 1994 of the High Court. Actually, that's pretty cool. Um, and then the first female judge to be appointed to their federal Sharia court
Yep.
is Ashraf Jahan.
I believe that's their religious court.
Oh, okay, okay. And then there are no women on their Supreme Court.
Not surprised. To
Um,
be honest, not surprised.
I'm actually really surprised on Russia here being so early. Ah! Um, it,
Not surprised either,
it
honestly.
really Ekaterina Fleischitz, 1888 to 1968, was the first Russian female criminal defense lawyer. She graduated from Sorbonne University in 1907 and passed the exams of St. Petersburg University in 1909. And on November 5th, she was allowed by the court to represent a client, but was later removed from the case by the Minister of Justice. In 1911, women were allowed to be admitted to Russian law schools. However, they could not practice law until 1917. And
Yep. You
I'm
know what
sorry.
happened in 1917?
No. Wait.
The Bolshevik Revolution.
Okay. Ah. In the Russian, so is that when like Anastasia disappeared?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
The
Is
last
that
czar was killed. And,
gotcha?
yep.
In the Russian Empire, women were not allowed to be judges. However, during the Soviet period, involvement of women in the judiciary became a political factor, not surprising. Reportedly, in 1924, women made up 13.7% of judges in the country, and this figure increased to 18.8% in 1926. Later, judgeship was considered a female profession, with women in different periods making up to 80% of the Soviet Russian judiciary. Today,
Yep.
though, three of the 19 members of the Constitutional Court are women. So
Yeah.
Russia's been up and down with their ladies of the law.
Yeah. And currently, since Putin's in charge of everything, there's only 3.
That's not surprising.
Mm-mm.
So you have South Africa, Thailand. First law student in Thailand was Kyunying Ram. I'm gonna do horrible. Phrommobon. Phromabon. Bunyap Prasop. Bunyapprasop. Attended the first law school in Thailand in 1927 and became the first women barrister in 1930. And then the first judge was Shalorjit Jitaruta, was appointed in 1965. And currently they have 9 people on their Supreme Court. None of them are judges. That's in Thailand. And then you have the UK and then the United States, which
I think you meant to say there's 9 judges on the court. None of them are women.
yes. What did I say?
You said there are 9 women on the court and none of them are judges.
Oh, God. Okay, in my brain, I said it the other way. Got
I know.
I love it when my brain go fast goes. It's brain super fast goes, right? What is it that he called when your brain goes super fast and your mouth won't follow? Anyway, so I highly recommend checking out this article. It's very cool. I did skip some of the countries because there's a lot in there. But definitely go check those out. And that's the International Ladies of Law. So we'll bring it home to the US and talk about the ladies in the US. Would you like to talk about Margaret Brent?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know about Margaret Brent. She was actually an attorney slash advocate during the colonial period. And she was the first female to appear in front of the Common Court judges defending and pursuing civil law.
Cool.
Yeah.
And that was in the
16,
1600s.
1648. Yeah.
Wow. Holy crap. That's kind of
Yep.
wild. Because, I mean, like, you didn't have to go to law school back then to practice law. You just
No.
needed to know how to read, basically.
That already puts you in front of 95% of the people. Not only did she do that, the governor of Maryland, the Maryland colony back then, appointed her the executrix of his estate when he died.
The governor?
Yeah.
Oh, so she was his executor of his will or whatever.
Yes.
Wow. That's cool. That's cool.
Now, of course, she was, from a noble family. They couldn't let any commoners be attorneys.
Yes, but if people don't use their privilege to help push progress, then they're not going to help the less fortunate, That's kind of what you're supposed to do.
She was one of 13 kids.
Holy crap. Arabella Mansfield is officially the first woman to be a lawyer in the United States. And that was in 1869. She was admitted to the Iowa bar.
Yeah.
A lot of her career was she was an educator and an administrator in college. And despite Iowa State restricting the bar to males, she took it and earned high scores. And because of that, they amended its licensing statute and became the first state to accept women and minorities into its bar.
Yeah, she was self-taught as well. She didn't go to law school.
Yes, she actually studied under her brother for 2 years.
Yeah, you can't really do that too much anymore in the U.S. New York lets you do it, and California lets you do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, most states want you to go to an ABA school.
The first female judge, justice of peace, was a lady named Esther Hobart Morris, and it was in Wyoming before it was even a state. It was still a territory, and she served a term of almost 9 months. They appointed her. They appointed her as justice too, not like she was appointed as justice, which is, I think, a really interesting when they appoint, because if you notice, a lot of the ladies in the other countries were also appointed, which means somebody picked this woman out of this group of people, mostly men probably, and said, I want her.
Yeah. Also, remember, Wyoming has always had its women vote.
Yes. Yes. That's also true. Women have always had the right to vote in Wyoming. I'm just going to name a couple of names real quick. Genevieve R. Klein was the first judge on the customs courts, which is the first federal judge. Sandra Day O'Connor was the first woman on the Supreme Court. And then politically, we've got a lot of ladies in political history that were not necessarily in law, but have done a lot of political stuff. I mean, obviously, you have Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and all of the ladies of the suffrage, the suffrage movement. One of the ones which we talked about her last year, and I want to talk about her again, is Shirley. Let me pull her up. She's more recent history, but Shirley Chisholm. She became the first Black woman to serve in Congress, and she remained in the House of Representatives until 1989 or 82, and that was in 1968. And the reason why I wanted to highlight her again is because Shirley Chisholm did a lot of work for women, Black women, Black people. Like, she did a lot for women of color specifically. And I just like to highlight her every year because she just has like a really, really awesome, like her and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, like those are two ladies that I really look up to. Notorious RBG.
Yeah.
She worked very hard and she's very outspoken, and I mean, she dealt with death threats and stuff, especially as a Black woman. I mean, she started out working as a nursery school teacher and became the first female Black congresswoman.
I know, that's pretty awesome.
Do you have any ladies that you would like to highlight?
Well, one of the ones I'd like to highlight is Victoria Woodhull.
Oh yeah.
1872. Doesn't have the right to vote. Publisher, stockbroker, protege of Cornelius Vanderbilt. She runs for president, even though she doesn't have the right to vote. On what
Yes.
was the Equal Rights Party ticket, which was a ticket that for the time would be considered radical left, but now would be a moderate, maybe slightly to the left. And a number of women ran on the Equal Rights Party in ensuing elections until it just kind of fizzled,
She ended up
unfortunately.
getting votes, which
Oh
was
yeah,
what
they
was
all
really
did.
cool about it. Like, she ended up getting like 40 something votes, which is huge for back then because I mean, it wasn't women voting, it was men.
Let's see. Does it tell me here? Oh yeah, she ran against Ulysses Grant. It doesn't tell me here how many votes she got, but
I've read it somewhere. I forget where I read it, but it was like 40 something votes, I think, that she got.
because I know the lady from New York, Stanton,
Mm-hmm.
when she ran for a house, she got 21 or 24 votes of the 12,000.
Maybe that's who I was thinking of, was Stanton. And okay. And I flipped the numbers. Okay. That might be who I was thinking of. Another one that's actually kind of interesting is Abigail Adams, wife to President John Adams. Um, she opposed slavery. She pushed for women's rights and education. And she has, famous line of "Remember the ladies," was followed by urging her husband not to put such unlimited power into the hands of the husbands. Remember, all men would be tyrants if they could. While her husband traveled on revolutionary and political duties, she took over and managed the family farm and business affairs. She was also mother to another president, John Quincy Adams.
Yep.
So, and she was very vocal about her opposition to slavery. In 1869, Julia Addington became the first woman elected to a public office in Iowa, which could possibly, most likely, makes her the first woman ever elected to any office in the U.S.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't until 1923 you had the first Latina and first woman of color to hold a statewide elective office, and that was Soledad Chacon,
Yes. Yeah.
New Mexico Secretary of State.
Interesting.
And then 1924, you had the first Native American woman in a state legislature in Michigan.
Yeah, that Cora Bell Reynolds Anderson.
Yeah.
She was from La Point Band of the Chippewa tribe, also known as Ojibwe.
Oh.
The first openly gay person elected to a U.S. As a U.S. senator was a woman from Wisconsin. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Tammy Baldwin.
That was more recent, wasn't it?
She served in the House from 1999 to 2013. She advocated for healthcare reform, sponsored action related to women's rights, such as National Breast and Cervical Cancer Early Detection Program, Reauthorization Act of 2007. And she serves on several subcommittees for the Senate Committee on appropriations is what I was trying to read. Appropriations, including for the Department of Defense and Department of Homeland Security. She is still active, and she was the first woman openly gay person ever voted. Here's one that I would really like to highlight as well. Mary McLeod Bethune. She was she was the director of Negro Affairs of the National Youth Administration from 1936 to 1944. She also advised President Franklin Delano Roosevelt on minority affairs and interracial relations, advocating for blacks to be served by New Deal policies, and was the head of FDR's Black Cabinet, an unofficial but important role. The Women's Army Corps was integrated because of her work as a member of the advisory board. And the daughter of former slaves, Bethune saw education was key to racial equality and started a school in Daytona Beach, Florida, which later became one of the few colleges of its time open to black students. Bethune founded the National Council of Negro Women in 1935 and served as vice president of the NAACP from 1940 until her death in 1955. Heck yeah, Mary McLeod Bethune. She is a badass.
1984, Geraldine Ferraro.
Yes.
First woman to ever run on a major party's national ticket, when
Yep.
she was selected as vice president. Unfortunately, it was by Walter Mondale, who lost in a landslide. She would have been a better candidate than he. He was not a very, and even though I was only 16, 17 at the time, he was boring. Boring, slow speaker. Not, yeah. They could have gotten somebody better, like Geraldine Ferrara.
So, the first woman of color elected to the U.S. Senate, representing Illinois from 1993 to 1999, was Carol Moseley Braun. It wasn't until 93 that we got our first black female senator.
That doesn't surprise me either.
No. In 93, though, she convinced the Judiciary Committee not to renew a design patent for the United Daughters of the Confederacy, as it included the Confederate flag.
Yeah.
I find that funny.
Also in '93, you had Janet Reno,
Oh, yeah.
first female Attorney General of the U.S.
So the first official woman, or the first Asian American woman to serve in a presidential cabinet, I don't like to mention her because she's married to Mitch McConnell, but she is the first Asian American woman to serve in a presidential cabinet, which is Elaine Chao. But she is extremely corrupt. So I'm
along
not
with
gonna
Mitch.
yeah, I'm not gonna spend too much time on her. But she is the first Asian American lady to serve in a cabinet. It was George Bush's cabinet. She was appointed Secretary of Labor.
Then you got Madeleine Albright, first woman who was Secretary of State.
Yep. I mean, you gotta mention the first woman to ever run, the first woman nominated by a major party for president, which is, as we know, Hillary Clinton. Um, it was an unsuccessful bid, and then we got 4 years of Cheeto poop.
I know. The unfortunate thing about that nickname is I like Cheetos.
um, there's so many, cool ladies. Um, and then of course, let's chat about RBG, the notorious RBG. She was nominated to the Supreme Court by Clinton in 93. From a previous position as a U.S. Appeals District of Columbia Circuit Judge. The Brooklyn Opera buff boasts many first. Yes. First woman to serve on 2 major law reviews, Harvard Law Review and Columbia Law Review. First tenured female Columbia Law School professor and co-author of the first casebook on sex discrimination. She's known for her opinions on, gender equality and notably the landmark United States versus Virginia, which allowed women to attend Virginia Military Institute. May she rest in peace.
Yeah, she was pretty awesome. Another Supreme Court Justice, Sonia Sotomayor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she was the third female member, but she is the first Hispanic
Oh, yes.
member of the court.
Fannie Lou Hamer fought for civil rights as a leader of the movement and member of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and also co founded the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party in 1964. She got involved with efforts to register black voters in the South in 1962, and during her time with the SNCC, took part in peaceful demonstrations that left her exposed to beatings and violence. As the vice chair of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, Hammer opposed her state's all-white delegation at the Democratic Convention in '64, where her alternative party captured the national spotlight for the civil rights movement. Hammer unsuccessfully ran for Congress in '64, but took part in forming the National Women's Political Caucus in 1971. Fannie Lou Hamer.
And we're going through all the political women first. You gotta put Kamala Harris in there.
Yes. Very first female vice president. That is the highest ranking position any woman has ever held in this country. And she is of she is of African American descent and I believe Asian descent.
Yeah, India is considered part of Asia.
Yes. Oh, it's okay. I thought it was Indian, but I couldn't quite remember if it was. Yeah. So, Patricia Roberts Harris was named Secretary of Housing and Urban Development in '77. She became the first Black woman to hold a cabinet position. At Senate hearings for her appointment, senators questioned how someone of her elevated position could understand the needs of the people the Department of Housing and Urban Development focused on. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? She literally... okay, so her comment was, Senator, I am one of them. You do not understand who I am. I am a Black woman, the daughter of a dining car worker. I'm a Black woman who even 8 years ago could not buy a house in parts of the District of Columbia. I didn't start out as a member of a prestigious law firm, but as a woman who needed a scholarship to go to school. If you think I have forgotten that, you are wrong. She later served as Secretary of Health and Education and Welfare from 1979 to 1981. Heck yes. Yes, ma'am, Patricia Roberts Harris. That's the same thing of like talking about Ketanji Brown Jackson, the crap that, like, why do we need to know her LSAT scores? You didn't ask that for Amy Coney Barrett or whatever her name is,
or anyone else.
Like, you didn't. Why do you need her? Why do you need her LSATs? Why does that even matter? She passed the bar at Harvard. She clearly is smarter than you, Tucker Carlson. Clearly. Also, can we spend the rest of the night maybe talking about Ketanji Brown Jackson?
Just two other people I want to mention.
Okay.
Deb Haaland, first Native American to serve in a cabinet.
Yes. President Biden.
As Secretary of Labor, which is long overdue. You should have had an Indigenous Secretary of Labor a long time ago, of the Interior a long time ago. And then you got Rachel Levine, who is the first openly transgender person to be confirmed by the U.S. Senate. Assistant Secretary of Health.
Yes. Yes.
So,
two other good ones to highlight.
Yeah.
So we don't have much time left.
No.
But I want to highlight Ketanji Brown Jackson because while she is just nominated, if she gets approved and becomes our next Supreme Court justice, she will be the first Black woman on our Supreme Court. Which is huge.
I think she'll get in.
I hope so.
You've had a number of Republicans saying that she's qualified.
She is absolutely qualified. Um,
So they have kind of backed themselves into a corner. If she's not qualified, why aren't you voting for her?
right, right. Um, so I'm just gonna kind of read off of her Wikipedia. Um, we'll read her early life and education. She was born in 1970 in Washington, D.C., September 14th. Her parents were both graduates of historically black colleges and universities. Her father, Johnny Brown, was a lawyer who ultimately became the chief attorney for the Miami-Dade County School Board. Her mother, Ellery, served as school principal at New World School of the Arts. She comes from a very, very educated background. While she was in college, Jackson's uncle, Thomas Brown Jr., was sentenced to life in prison for nonviolent cocaine conviction. Years later, she persuaded a law firm to take his case pro bono, and President Barack Obama eventually commuted his sentence. Another uncle, Calvin Ross, served as the Miami's police chief. She grew up in Miami, Florida, and graduated from Miami Palmetto Senior High School in '88. In her senior year, she won the national oratory title to the National Catholic Forensic League Championships in New Orleans, the second largest high school debate tournament in the U.S. Wow. Holy crap. She studied government at Harvard University. She performed improv comedy and took classes in drama and led protests against a student who displayed a Confederate flag from his dorm window. Holy crap. She graduated in '92 with an AB magna cum laude, having written a senior thesis entitled The Hand of Oppression, Plea Bargaining Processes, and the Coercion of Criminal Defendants. She worked as a staff reporter and researcher for Time magazine from '92 to '93, then attended Harvard Law School, which is hard as heck to get into, where she was, especially if you are a marginalized person, where she was a supervising editor of the Harvard Law Review, and she graduated in '96 with a Juris Doctorate cum laude.
Yep.
Her career, she served as a law clerk to Judge Patty B. Saris of the U.S. District Court of the District of Massachusetts from '96 to '97, then to Judge Bruce M. Celia of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the First Circuit from '97 to '98. She spent a year in private practice in the D.C. law firm Miller, Cassidy, LaRocca, and Lewin, now part of Baker Botts, then clerked for Justice Stephen Breyer of the U.S. Supreme Court from 1999 to 2000. She worked in private legal practice from 2000 to 2003, first at the Boston-based law firm Goodwin Proctor from 2000 to 2002, then at the Feinberg Group, now Feinberg and Rosen LLP from 2002 to 2003. From 03 to 05, she was an assistant special counsel to the U.S. Sentencing Commission. From 05 to 07, she was an assistant federal public defender in Washington, D.C., where she handled cases before U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit.
Which I gotta say,
okay,
that particular Court of Appeals is considered a stepping stone to the Supreme Court.
Oh, okay. The Washington Post review of cases Jackson handled during her time as a public defender showed that she won uncommon victories against the government that shortened or erased lengthy prison terms, which is very impressive. From 07 to 2010, Jackson was an appellate specialist at Morrison and Forster?
Forster.
Okay. Which is like, that's Jesus. In 2009, Obama nominated her to become vice chair of the U.S. Sentencing Commission. The Senate confirmed her by unanimous consent on 2010. She succeeded Michael E. Horowitz, who had served from 03 to 09. She served on the Sentencing Commission until 2014. During her time, it retroactively amended the sentencing guidelines to reduce the guideline range for crack cocaine offenses and enacted the Drugs -2 Amendment, which implemented a 2-offense level reduction for drug crimes. Wow. So, I mean, I could keep going. There's so much on this lady. she has she has the qualifications, and she is so smart, and she's um very she's really humble. But she's firm from what I've been able to see. Like, I really hope she gets it. I really hope she gets it. I think she will be a very good addition to our Supreme Court.
Yeah, and she clerked for Justice Breyer, who's the justice who's retiring. And
Oh, okay. Okay.
generally, a clerk has the same legal philosophy as the person they clerked for.
So she's okay, so she's basically replacing her old boss.
Yeah.
She was nominated for her old boss's position. That's kind of cool. Um and with that, I think we're going to end the podcast. I hope you all enjoyed this. I will have all of this posted up tomorrow so y'all can read all of these articles. There's so much more information than what we've presented in an hour. We hope you know, enjoy learning about some pretty badass women.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to Learning the Law. If you like this podcast and want to hear more, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and share in all your favorite places. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Learning the Law, Ron at Necrokijo, that's Necrokijo, and me at Phoenix Nymphy. If you have any questions, please tweet, comment, or email us at twolazydogsmedia@gmail.com. This has been a Two Lazy Dogs production.
Bye, everyone.